What's up, you bastards? We're back on It's Tough, the magnum.traub podcast. Today on It's Tough, we have the biggest episode that we've ever done so far. We have an interview with a fellow dropout, or soon-to-be dropout, Sebastian. And so today, we're going to just ask Sebastian about what he's into, his thoughts on certain ideas, things in his life that's made him who he is today, reasons that he wants to drop out, how his school experiences were, and so on. You guys can figure that out. Before we do any of that, hit the sub button and, throw me a comment. Let's talk. Tell me what you think of this interview. Tell me if you think he's a dumbass, I'm a dumbass. Tell me if you don't want to see any interviews, you want to see more interviews, you want to get interviewed. Okay, you guys know where to find me. magnum.traub@icloud.com is my email. And that's about fucking it. So let's get into the interview. So, Sebastian, it's great to have you here.
Great to be here.
Alright, so we're just going to start with the basic questions. So where are you from?
I was originally from California and moved down to Florida and had a 2-year jaunt to Boston, and we realized it was too cold and came back down here, Florida.
Alright, that's interesting. So who's been, would you say, your biggest influence in your life?
You could say like my father and the cliche ones like that.
Yeah,
and then
same.
Kind of inspirationally, like Neil deGrasse Tyson and a lot of the big science guys. That was always.
Did you feel like affected by him being your role model when he got accused of, sexual assault?
Okay, you were there in the English class. You know exactly what I was.
Yeah, but my memory is a little bit.
I was depressed.
You were depressed?
He's been cleared, I think.
Exonerated?
So I'm just going to go ahead and say.
But would he still be your biggest influence if he wasn't necessarily exonerated and was kind of in that Me Too limbo of not quite knowing if he's guilty, not quite knowing if he's innocent? What would you say about that? Like, what are your thoughts?
My view of him would be a lot more tainted.
But would you still look at him as an influence? Would you be able to look at it from an objective perspective?
Well, I still have to acknowledge that when I was growing up I was into science, that he was still a big part of that, and you can't just erase that because of who you figured out he was later. But I would be extremely disappointed, and I don't think I'd be able to continue supporting him, of course.
But it'd still be an influence in your life.
Yeah, I can't just erase him.
Understood. I think that's a pretty good way to look at it. I think just fucking erasing somebody or cancel culture, is just bullshit. Like, what the fuck's the point, Like, you gotta see their value, because he did bring value, right?
Yeah, he brought value, but, it's a lot of the way people look at cancel culture and, erasing celebrities and whatnot. It's, if you rape someone or hurt someone, killed someone, assaulted someone, whatever, you'd be fired from your job, whatever job that was.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we give celebrities this bonus status of, oh, well, I like whatever they did, X and Y, so they can't be that bad. It's like, no, they fucked up, they committed a crime, fire them from their job. They don't deserve the money.
Yeah, but one thing I would say that's a difficulty with that is when you're a celebrity, breathing's your job. Like for him, like, do you really know his job?
He's a science communicator. He worked at the Hayden Planetarium, and he ran the show Cosmos.
Yeah, but still, I get it. But you know what I'm saying, though. Like, if you're a Twitter guy that just fucking talks and you have a few million followers on Twitter, your job's just breathing. Exactly.
Yeah.
But, alright, I really like that.
It was a nice segue.
That was a good combo. So, now we're gonna segue a little bit into your thoughts on school. So, how'd you like high school, and what did you really think the effect or benefit was for you?
I mean, probably still a little biased because it's still a little close in my life, but overall, I pretty much hated high school. Yeah, it wasn't I liked most of my teachers, and there were a few that were really good, and my classmates were decent as well, and it was kind of for the same reasons I ended up hating college. It was just so restrictive, I felt, to what I actually wanted to do in life. It was just, this is what you're doing now, whether you like it or not, and take tests, turn in homework, and then succeed, question mark?
Question mark, fat question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Did you see a benefit of going to high school? Do you feel you'd be the same if you fucking just bailed?
Well, I mean, there's certain classes and certain topics I'm glad I learned about. I feel like It's valuable to have a grasp on history. It's valuable to have a grasp on basic sciences and even basic math, as much as I hate to admit it. But there came a point where my state of mind really became, this is not going to help me in what I actually want to do. This just kind of feels like filling time, which in a lot of ways, grade school is.
Yeah, it's daycare.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, your parents are at work, so you gotta go do something. You can't sit home fucking lighting shit on fire. Yeah, I think that's pretty truthful for me as well. Did you see did you see a real benefit for college? Did you see that? Because we went to a prep school. I mean, did you see that there was a massive benefit when you went to college?
Not really. I mean, I think the one kind of bonus to college was that you could personalize what you were learning a lot more, but even that for me didn't quite pan out because I was just so resistant to the idea of college in the first place that I signed up for most of mine really late. So
Yes,
my
I did the
selections
same thing.
were extremely limited. I ended up going to New College in Florida, which is a fine institution for what it is, but what it is not something that I want to partake in.
But I mean, even you said you were kind of happy to go there because you knew it'd be a liberal-leaning school. You knew that there would be liberal-leaning kids. You'd be surrounded by modern men.
That's what
If I can quote you.
Yeah.
That's what you thought.
It's what I thought, past tense. The reality ended up being, I won't say that, it was all bad. I liked my roommates. I enjoyed living in dorm life for a while. It's being able to live on your own and out of home, for me, that was freeing, to say the least. But after a while, I kind of realized that these people are the same all over. People in general, especially in Florida, especially in predominantly white and predominantly middle class, well-off people, they all jive more or less the same. So I don't know. I was expecting going to a place of great intellectualism where I can expand my horizons, and I basically got just high school 2.0.
Exactly. That's what I got. I felt that I took a step down, actually, when I went to college. Because, you go from good prep school, whatever, and you go to FS fucking U. It's like going to a public school, and all these public school kids are, it's a little bit different, like intellectually and socially. You're kind of thrown back. I felt I was thrown back, and then, not the public school kids, you guys are fine. Some were smart, some weren't. But just the average. It's a bigger class, so they gotta dumb it down more, and you don't feel like you're actually, this is pushing you,
Yeah, but at the same time, the culture there is just so panicky about getting your assignments on time and passing out your classes. I mean, there are a few kids like that in high school. There's always that one kid who's, lives or dies based on their science grade or whatever. But for the most part, people were kind of just chill and, pursuing their own interests in their free time and just trying to get through it.
Yeah.
But in college, it suddenly became, if I don't turn in this assignment, my entire world is going to melt.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the idea of, in high school, those panicky kids, they're just trying to get to college.
Yeah.
If I don't turn this in, I'm fucked. I don't get into college. But why the fuck do you want to go to college? Well, because I got to get into college. So when you're doing that in college, well, why are you exactly doing it? To get a good job. But what good job? I don't know.
Especially, college works for people in certain professions, like if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a lawyer, if you want, you've gotta. But, if you're pursuing something in the creative side of things or more of an entrepreneur style endeavor, you can only get so much out of it. I mean, there's only so much you can be taught about how to succeed on your own.
Yeah.
And that was kind of where the breaking point came for me, is that I know what I want to do, and college did not really facilitate that future for me, so
it wasn't because you were lazy and just wanted to
it was
go
also because
home.
I was lazy and hated college, but dress it up a bit.
Yeah. But do you feel confident in your ability now that, if you're really gonna, because you haven't quite dropped out yet, you're still in school, but...
I'm withdrawing this week, and then I'm out in the next 2 weeks, so yeah.
Okay, but so, do you feel confident in your abilities in the future to, I just gotta fucking grind, I think I can do this,
I mean, I'm fucking terrified.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one thing about college that is both good and kind of damaging, I think, is that it is secure vision of your future. You know where you're going to be for the next 4 years, which on one hand, well, that's nice, that's comfortable, but on the other hand, it's very stagnant, I suppose, to achieving whatever goals you've set. And that was, so now that I've lost that, on one hand, I'm thrilled because I feel free and I feel exhilarated, like I'm taking steps towards achieving my goals, but on the other hand, I've lost that sense of the future. Like, I have no fucking idea where I'm going to be a year from now, and that's frightening.
So what is, though, your plan? Because you said for the creative reasons, that's why you got out of school, or entrepreneurial reasons. So why are you leaving school? What is your future idea and your future plan?
I mean, my career I'm pursuing now is be a novelist and to mainly write fiction and science fiction and whatnot, and I've nearly completed my first book and hope to God and whatever else that is publishable. That's what I'm going after now. I'm looking at agents and whatnot, and like I said, there's just only so much you can learn about that field in college. And you can take creative writing courses, but at the end of the day, it's, writing or any creative endeavor are all extremely personal, and how much can a college course teach you about something that's extremely personal?
Would you ever go back to college if, say, you failed?
It would be an extremely depressing moment in my life.
Go
back to college after dropping out. I really wouldn't want to. But like I said, no idea where I'm going to be a year from now. So it's possible, I suppose.
But do you feel like in your mind that you'll keep persisting even if, say, this first book doesn't work out right?
Yeah, I mean, this is what I want to do. And even if I'm trying and failing when I'm 90, I'm still going to keep trying.
You've objectively looked at it like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, or most part of it?
For the foreseeable future,
Foreseeable future. Alright, that sounds pretty good. And are you worried?
Yeah, like I said, I'm terrified. But at the same time, I think it's a good kind of worry.
Yeah.
I mean, when
it's
you
a
don't...
hopeful worry.
Yeah, and also when you don't have any fear going on in your life, I mean, I don't think it's a good sign. It just means you're not taking risks, and you're not taking risks, you're not...
Yeah, you're not really going for anything.
You're not moving.
Yeah, you're not going to progress at all. So, a little bit of a segue. So, what are you interested in outside of your noveling?
I mean, well, like I said, I'm a big fan of science. I follow especially like astronomy and whatnot. I love space a lot. Elon Musk and SpaceX and NASA, blah, blah, blah.
How do you like the new Cybertruck?
I want one.
Want one?
I fucking want one.
I thought they're ugly pieces of shit.
That was my first impression.
They looked fucking disgusting.
That was my first impression. Is you look at this thing, it's like, holy shit, what were they thinking? Then you keep looking at it.
Are you kidding me? I loved it.
Well, yeah,
I'm fucking with you. I thought it was a DeLorean with suspension and 30-inch wheels.
Are you serious? Because the first time I saw it at a glance, like, holy shit, what is that?
Well, I just was like, it's so fucking nuts.
And it's different.
Like, imagine if you're cruising, like, that's what... I mean, we live in 2019, and you're telling me, I know you drive a Camry, but they're still making cars that look like this? Like little fucking humps? Like, no, man, it's 2019.
Yeah.
We should all be driving cars that look like fucking spaceships. Like, what the fuck's the point? They got it right in the 50s and 60s, but they can't keep it right now?
Yeah.
So I think it looks sick, but it costing $70K
I think
or
base
40
version, yeah, is
still.
40. Which isn't too bad, I mean, compared to like an F-150 or whatever it's supposed to be competitive with.
Yeah, but an F-150 is going to be better in towing and shit like that, just in general.
Not based on what Mr. Musk demonstrated.
Alright, we're not going to get into the Cybertruck. But I think that's a cool little topic.
I want one.
Yeah, we better fucking get writing, boy. Okay, so do you have any interest in like exercise or diet or any of the kind of fads that are going on now with...
Well, I mean, at a glance, you can probably tell I don't keep up with... I've tried a few times to get on an exercise routine, to get on a good diet, and every time I just kind of fell off it.
Well, I think the thing for you is just consistency. You know, you need to find something that you can consistently do and don't have to worry about. Because, like, when you're in college, I know what you do. You just fucking, well, I gotta make Chef Boyardees, you know, and you just throw them in the microwave and cook them up.
I've been living off of microwavable chili and those, like, military-style packaged things for the past 3 months.
Lunchables?
No,
or like
it's
MREs?
No, yeah, that's what it is. It's
Like
basically,
meals ready.
they're like those, I swear.
Do you get the magnesium pack and put it in water and shake it up and heat it up because you're outside when you're fucking eating it with a plastic fork?
Yep. Out in Afghanistan.
Jesus.
Chewing it.
Fuck, man, that sucks.
Well, the college meal plan doesn't accommodate an actual human diet. So I ran out like 3 months ago, whatever. So now I'm just running down and grabbing these and
Yeah, fuck it, it's tough.
It's
So no interest really in exercise or diet. Are you looking to get it like into it, or you're just like, ah, fuck it. If I don't, I don't. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, and I'd say I'm more of a cerebral type of person, so how much value I gain out of my...
Yeah, but wouldn't you say that optimizing brain function through healthy diet and sleep habits would be a good thing to do and exercise?
I mean, it's not like I just sit around all day. I do a lot of walking.
Yeah.
I'm outside in nature.
So you do like the 75 and up exercise routine.
Yep.
The snowbird exercise routine. That's trademarked by It's Tough, the magnum.traub podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, I think I've already mentioned that you're a little bit liberal. Do you identify with all the political views of a liberal? How are you feeling with today's Democratic Liberal Party? Do you love AOC?
Oh, God. She's not horrible. She's just there, kind of. You know, you put out a podcast recently, as your listeners might know. What was it titled?
Understanding the Enemy?
Yeah, and you...
Go check it out.
You mentioned a buddy who was more left-leaning.
That's him.
And, yeah, I'm definitely more left-leaning socially, and, you know, I don't think I'm educated enough to say fiscally, but socially, at least, especially, I live and let live is my philosophy. Do I subscribe to all of the democratic principles? No. I mean, it's like in New College, for example, even that was a bit much for me. There's a lot of, and they, when we first got there, they kind of pulled everyone aside, and said, okay, we ask people's pronouns here, which I am not conceptually opposed to, but as someone who, grew up in a very conservative high school, it was a hell of a culture shock for me.
Yeah.
It's, if someone wants me to use whatever pronoun, I'll do it because it's polite, but it does seem like...
As an institutional reason, it's kind of...
It weirded me out, put it that way, and that's kind of where I am with a lot of progressive kind of social tendencies, that a lot of them just weird me out.
Yeah.
And I try to sort through that, try to figure out why, and if those feelings are valid, exactly. And a lot of times I just come down to, whatever makes people happy, like whatever gets them through the day. Doesn't affect me.
But you shouldn't impose rules that affect someone else's life and makes it worse.
Oh yeah, if someone decided that, I do not want to make an example out of this, but if someone just tried to impose some, ideology that inconvenienced or severely hindered my ability to lead a happy life, that's where I draw the line.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's just like, well, I want you to use this pronoun, or blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, fine. Whatever floats your boat.
Alright, I gotta ask a question. What you think about Trump, bro?
Oh, he's the greatest president who ever lived. There was Lincoln, and he's got...
You don't think he's the greatest president that's ever lived?
I do not think he's the greatest president that's ever lived. I think... Oh, God. I mean, I feel like you can kind of guess what I think about him.
You think he's a bastard?
He's just incompetent, and...
Okay.
I don't want to be too dramatic about it. I do not like it.
Alright. Who do you think you're going to vote for in 2020? Are you going to vote in 2020?
I'm going to vote in 2020. And, at this point, for me, it's just... I just want to get Trump out of office, That's my opinion on the matter, so... The best chance of doing
But who would you like to see as a Dem? Because, we know they're trying to pump Elizabeth Warren and Bernie a little and Biden heavy. But do you think that you would vote, or who would you rather vote for? Like, who's somebody that you actually kind of like?
I mean, Kamala Harris was my first pick.
Okay.
Yeah, I roll. But she's kind of fallen behind in the polls a lot.
Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard, I think, hit her with a quick right-left.
I didn't watch that debate. So
I watched some highlights of it. I honestly, like, my favorite one right now is Tulsi.
Seriously?
You know, she's been on Joe Rogan a few times, and
Oh,
not just saying, I am a Joe Rogan fanboy, but I'm not a Joe Rogan groupie, so I'm not going to follow every single thing he says. But, I mean, he does get the points of view that are more similar with the way I think, and she seems like I'm not a sexist individual, but I believe that you need to have a strong individual run the country. And she's a strong individual that I could actually, like, I would be totally fine with her as a woman and all these things running our country. I have no, like, she seems actually kind of cool. And kind of to have some to have a little bit of balls, too, you know?
One of the good ones is what you're saying.
Yeah, she's one of the good Democrats. She's not like Elizabeth Warren, who I feel is like trying to be so politically correct and this and the other and say she's a fucking Native American when she's, you know,
That was a bit cringe-inducing on multiple levels.
Yeah, but when you do that, I mean, you can't just like check it off and say, oh, well, she fucked up. Like, you know, like, no, you were really trying to play to your base and act like you're a fucking multicultural human. Like, you aren't. You're a white old bitch.
She was very white and... Well, I mean, it's looking like Harris is going to go out of the race, and if that happens, then yeah, I'd vote for Warren. I mean, Biden's just a... oh God, he's just a tired old man. I'm sorry. Like, he's a nice...
But do you want to vote for Warren?
She wasn't my first choice, like I said, but I'd vote for her.
But she beats every other candidate. I'm not even talking about, like, who you think's going to win. I'm just saying in general, like, who do you like in the primary?
Well, my kind of... ranking would be Harris, Buttigieg, Warren. Harris and Buttigieg are kind of, you know, they're falling out a bit of the race. Warren's looking like she's got an actual chance. And like I said, Biden is a great individual. He's just not what we need right now to run the country, in my opinion.
He's too fucking old, too.
Exactly.
Who the fuck wants his old ass in there? Okay. So segueing from that, so what are your thoughts? I know that you're kind of an atheist. Don't really believe in God. What brought you there? What, were you raised in a totally atheistic household?
Well, yeah, I mean, my dad was atheist, so that had a lot to do with it. But, I mean, my mother was very spiritual, which is just kind of a fancy way for saying I can't make up my mind. And she has recently, so credit to her, but for the most part, it was always just kind of... Like, my family was always very wishy-washy about religion, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Church is whatever. God is whatever. And I just...
Whatever you want it to be.
Yeah,
you know?
And, I mean, I decided for myself that I was just opposed to the general idea of... The big one for me was an afterlife. I did not like that idea because I felt like it provided too much of a safety net to live one's life and say, well, I can be... You know, I can put off doing what I want to do or do what I feel like I need to do because it will get me into heaven or whatever, because I have more time.
And you also have to operate within an institution. You know? You can't be a free soul and a free spirit.
I'm not a fan of church. And I went to a Catholic school for 6th and 7th grade, and then Episcopal school for 8th through high school. So I've had a fair amount of church, and I just don't see the value in it.
Yeah, it kind of disgusts me, TBH. But, I mean, if you believe in God, it helps you get through the day.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's
you
the
know,
thing.
it makes
like...
your life better, so be it. But, like, don't impose your religion on me, and I'm not gonna fucking deal with that bullshit. Like, when we went, you remember, when we went to fucking chapel every twice a week or whatever the fuck it was like, sure, we didn't even do that much religious shit, but I don't like being forced into a big-ass fucking cathedral, the fat cross right in front of me, like...
Yeah, the fact that they forced everyone to kind of attend that was annoying to me.
I mean, it is an Episcopal school, but for being such a progressive, you know, environment that we live in today, maybe they should have had a little bit different look at it, so the kids that aren't necessarily religious... You know, because that's the thing. They try giving value to everyone who believes in God, but if you don't believe in God, they're like, well...
They just kind of pretend you don't exist.
Yeah, just like, just get in line, you bastard.
Yeah, just
like,
go take communion. We don't care.
Yeah.
I don't want to complain about it too much, because it's not like it was bad. It was a very secular chapel, to say the least. But at the same time,
still,
I want to be here.
Exactly. Do you think you're like a unique person, or do you think you fall more in just the average, kind of go with the flow category? Unique meaning that you have potential to do more. Is that what you're like believing, or are you a little? I mean, we're all, I think, hesitant But is that like an overarching belief, or are you a little?
Well, I mean, I think everyone wants to believe they're unique, and I certainly do. I hope, but I feel like I've got to prove it. So that's what I'm trying to do. Hopefully, I'll be able to prove that I have the potential to be exceptional or whatever. That's my goal at the moment. But I mean, it does seem a little pretentious to say I am unique before I've actually done anything. Exactly.
All right, and then I just last few questions. So, do you have any like opinions on society or pop culture today, or this fucking materialism and shit like that, or do you just not really give a fuck?
Broad societal overviews.
Yeah, just any like observations you want to talk about, or like have an opinion on that kind of fucking disgusts you, like what I talk about, and I just get.
You talk about a lot.
I do.
I mean, it's problematic in a lot of ways, materialism, like you were talking about. I feel like I need a more specific kind of opening question here.
Well, what do you think about social media?
Social media. Okay, well, that's good. Now, I've never been much on social media. I kind of started more recently because...
So you don't cover your mouth. Just like try to...
Yeah, right.
It's the best audio, bro. Gotta give it to the fans.
No, I mean, I've started using social media more as of late.
What's your Instagram?
No idea.
Well, this guy's a jackass. I'm gonna put the Instagram link to his Instagram and my Instagram in the description below.
I'll put anything on Instagram, but okay.
That's okay. Just still. Alright, so keep going.
Well, yeah, I mean, people talk about this a lot, and I feel like it's kind of a well-known problem that goes on in, the way we compare ourselves to other people, the way we kind of make a contest out of fucking everything these days on social media. It's certainly not healthy on an individual level, but at the same time, it kind of gets brushed under the rug, is that social media has enabled a lot of change. It has enabled some good, I'd say, as a liberal man, and some bad, like the kind of, cancel culture as a concept. I don't think it's as big a thing as people assume. It's usually like four wackadoos yelling in the background, and it's not, I don't think anyone's
But it
career...
still can affect people's lives. I mean, you can cancel some fucking people,
Yeah, but, I mean, I haven't seen it absolutely, destroy anyone to the degree that a lot of people freak out about.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. I mean, social media is like all things, and it must be taken in moderation. It does good, it does bad.
I always thought, I get these ideas of, I wish I was born in the 80s, that my life would have been, I wish I was born, I would have been so much better off. And then I was thinking, I'm like, you're a fucking dumbass, bro. You were born in the perfect century for you, because I don't really like leaving my house. I can learn anything I need to on the internet. I can see anything I want to, and I can get inspiration from a million different ways instead of having to go to the library and shit like that. So that's where social media, for me, plays a big role of, I get information, I get inspiration, I get all these things from it. Now, sure, it's fucking negative. It programs your brain to want certain things, Well,
it's all, like I said, it's all about just taking in moderation.
Exactly.
You gotta understand what's good about it and what's not so good. But you touched on something there, and that I think was fascinating, in that you dreamt about being born in the 80s. What kind of
being born in a prior time, in a time that was more, I guess less restricted. Like now, you're freer when it comes to knowledge. I guess knowledge is easier to acquire, but when it comes to actually being able to do things, I feel like it's so much more restrictive in not an internet sense. But in the actual physical sense of being able to come up with different ideas and do different things. Does that make sense?
So, I mean, you're talking about, like, entrepreneurship or what do you...
Exactly. I'm talking about freer just to do, and government restriction, shit like that. I felt like, back in the 80s it was a little... But then again, you can smoke pot and shit now, and you couldn't do that back in the day. So, I'm not saying I was wishing born in the 80s. It just was a thought that came in my head.
Makes sense.
And then I rationalized it by really understanding the relationship that I have with the internet today. And that it actually is a massive benefit that I use, and it's not as negative as I see it, and everything else would probably be fucking shittier and inferior.
Yeah, I mean, it's always easier to romanticize a pastime.
Exactly.
But I think it'd be cool to be born in the future. I've thought that a few times. One conception of the future or another. But,
yeah, I don't think I'd do good in the future.
Well, what's the future to your...
I don't fucking know. I think it's more restrictive and more shit's already been done, and there's already 10 million podcasts like this. So, instead of, just a few that are.
Just a few.
Yeah. Alright, so I don't really have any more questions. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Do you want to,
You're putting me on the spot now. I don't know. I think...
You think that's good?
I don't know.
Alright, well, this has been Sebastian. You want me to say your last name?
No, it's a secret.
Okay.
You can
This
say
has
it.
been Sebastian, the fellow college dropout. This was my first It's Tough, the magnum.traub podcast interview, as you can see on the shirt. And I think this went pretty well. Drop a comment below on how you think it went. All that shit. Share this if you think it was interesting and fun. Throw me a like if you actually enjoyed it and gained some information from it. And go follow him and myself on Instagram. Thanks, guys.